Resurrection of the Daleks was the first full-on Dalek story since Destiny of the Daleks 5 years earlier. The show has changed a lot since then, and this story reflects that. Most obviously, Earthshock successfully reinvented the Cybermen for the 1980s, and this story is clearly attempting to do the same thing for the Daleks. It's not quite as good, but still very strong, if extremely bleak. It begins right in the middle of an action scene, with policemen shooting oddly dressed people in a grimy urban street. I can imagine every child who watched this being absolutely terrified of policemen afterwards. This turns out to be London in 1984, where the TARDIS lands after being dragged down a time corridor. Here the Doctor and his gang meet Stein, played by Rodney Bewes. His performance is rather unusual, cowardly and stuttering an awful lot, though it is explained later on. At the other end of the time corridor is a Dalek ship, sometime in the future. After the Morvellan War decimated their ranks, they are now hiring mercenaries, commanded by Maurice Colborne as Lytton. He is a very strong presence as this cynical, amoral character, with no allegiance to anyone but himself, and I'm looking forward to his return in the next season. Lytton and the Daleks attack a space station, and on board is Rula Lenska as Dr. Styles. She's another fine actor, and in an alternate universe, she could easily have played Varani. The Daleks slaughter just about everyone in the station, and it is revealed that Davros is being held there. Unusually, the story follows directly on from Destiny of the Daleks, requiring the viewers to have very long memories. Terry Malloy is a much better Davros than David Grunnison was last time. He doesn't quite have the same subtleties as Michael Wisher did originally, but he can rant and rave with the best of them, and it's no surprise that they kept bringing him back for the next few Dalek stories. Also of note is Leslie Grantham, who shows up as Davros' enforcer Kitston, just a year before he got the part of Dirty Den in EastEnders. He's not the greatest actor, but he does have a menacing demeanour, which is all the part requires really. And it's a lot of fun to see two of the most evil characters in television history working side by side, like some bizarre fanfiction brought to life. When the Doctor makes it to the Dalek ship, he discovers that Stein is secretly a Dalek agent, as well as being a clone, and his stutter is a sign that his Dalek programming is wearing off. It's a genuinely surprising twist, though Bewes' acting is not quite up to it. The scene where he yells, "I can't stand the confusion in my mind!" is completely over the top, and will go down as one of the most infamous line readings in all of Doctor Who. The whole clone storyline is a little half-baked, to be honest. We never really see people and their clones together, so it all feels a bit theoretical. The Daleks' plan is to take over Earth by replacing people in power, as well as using a duplicate of the Doctor to assassinate the High Council of Gallifrey, which feels like a few too many plot lines for one story, and that's before you even get the start of the Dalek Civil War, which does at least continue into the next two Dalek stories. There is a great scene towards the end, where the Doctor finally confronts Davros, armed with a gun and intent on killing him. It feels more than a little out of character. The Doctor does have a history with Davros, but it doesn't feel quite enough to justify murder, though he never actually goes through with it in the end. Their actual scene together is a definite highlight, but it would have helped if they'd had a few more to really build up their relationship, so you might feel that the Doctor was genuinely worked up enough to kill him. In the end, just about every single character in both time zones ends up dead, and Tegan decides to leave the Doctor for good. It's a very different departure scene to usual. Normally the companions either die or move on to better things, but to have Tegan just walk out because she's sick of everybody she meets dying is incredibly bleak. It's not a great story for Janet Fielding. She spends most of it stuck in a basement with Chloe Ashcroft from Play School, but she makes the most of her farewell scene, and of course she does return to the show nearly 40 years later, confirming her status as one of the most memorable companions. The DVD has about 35 minutes of extras. There is another version on the Revisitations 2 box set with more extras if you want them. On location is an 18-minute making-of documentary, as Eric Sayward and Matthew Robinson, the director, go back to the filming location, which looks a lot cleaner and more colourful now, and talk about the making of the story. There's also a rare appearance from John Nathan Turner, who I don't think has appeared in any of the previous DVD extras, as they all came out after his death, so it's interesting to hear from him. There's a clip from Breakfast Time, with Janet Fielding interviewed, sounding a lot posher than she does in her more recent interviews, and John Nathan Turner promoting a rather slim book he wrote about Doctor Who companions. Finally, the 7 minutes of deleted scenes, including Stein entering the TARDIS and a bit more of the Doctor and Davros scene. Overall, it's a strong story, bringing back the Daleks in force as a major threat, full of great action scenes, a strong cast, and a bittersweet ending. I'll give it 8 out of 10. Next week, Planet of Fire. Another big story, and there's a special edition I've never seen as well. So press subscribe to see what I think of that, and I'll see you next time.